Hello everybody, this is RK Mullins on small batch cooking. Welcome to my channel. But today is not necessarily a small batch recipe, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and you might want to take a look at it and see how you can adapt it for yourself. Okay, I have here a 4.5 pound turkey breast. Okay, and it's a huge sucker, right? One person could fix this, and it'd last them a couple of days for dinner and sandwiches and stuff like that. Now, I want you to take a look at that skin. See how dry that skin looks? Right? In some areas, it don't look nearly as dry. What I've done is dry brine this thing. So what I do when I dry brine, everybody does something different, right? You can use kosher salt, you can use flaky salt, whatever daggone kind of dad burn salt you want to use, you use it. But you put you some salt on there, right? And it's going to be heavy. You want the heavy, it's going to be a heavy layer of salt. I've already done that, but I noticed there's a couple of areas where I needed to add a little bit more, right? And I'm getting both the underside and the top. Now, with that being said, one of my favorite ingredients is MSG. All right, this right here adds a lot of flavor to stuff, right? Now, I've already salted underneath the skin. In other words, I've raised the skin and went underneath it and left the membrane intact as much as I could, right? That way, I could get the salt and the MSG in between the skin and the meat. That way, the salt's going to draw out the moisture from the meat, just like it is from the skin. But the difference is the skin or the meat is going to act like a sponge. Once that happens, the meat's going to start drawing the moisture back in and pulling the salt and the MSG with it, seasoning the entire turkey. Now, a lot of people, like I used to do it this way as well. I used to wet brine mine. In other words, I take a 5-gallon bucket, put my turkey in there, add water, add my seasoning, and add a whole bunch of salt in there. I have found this right here works a heck of a lot better. It will produce as long as you don't overcook the dang thing, and I have done that, trust me, I've overcooked the devil out of them. And let it set for 24 hours, and that's what I do. I set it for 24 hours. Now, I'm going to come back in 24 hours and show you what I'm going to do with it then. But after the 24 hours is set, I'm going to bring it out and let it come to room temperature. All right? And just explain what I'm doing, what I'll be doing at that point in time. But you let it come to room temperature. And then I'll take a mixture of butter, not margarine, nothing fake, just real butter that has also come to room temperature and softened. And I mix in my ingredients. And one of those ingredients is not going to be salt. And it won't be MSG. I've already got it on the bird. I don't need no more. That's it. But I use something called poultry seasoning. It's already got a bunch of different seasonings in there to mix in that help add to the natural flavor of the bird. Okay, and I add sage to it, right? Because what's a turkey without sage, right? And I put that butter underneath the skin and over the skin and everything else, and then I bake it in the oven. And I start off at 450 degrees for 15 minutes. And then I drop it down to 250 degrees and slow bake it the rest of the way. So we're going to come back here in 24 hours, and I'm going to show you how I add the butter to it and the seasoning and get ready to bake that sucker. All right. Have a great day. This is RKM.